everything is changing now rapidly to where I believe they will have a cure for multiple myeloma. And it's not a death sentence. I know that you have to stay positive, though, because if I laid in bed every day and cried about this, I'd be dead. But I still have a purpose to be here, and my intention is to help others. Hello, I'm Todd. I live in Alamo, California, which is about 25 miles east of San Francisco. I'm a commercial real estate agent, used to be a CFO in corporate America, decided I'm not going to transfer anymore and planted roots. I'm an avid wake surfer. I was diagnosed with stage 3 multiple myeloma. I noticed I was getting sick about every 2 months. It was taking me longer to recover. I just didn't have the energy, and I've always been a super A-type personality, don't usually get much sleep, and go, go, go. I was talking to my doctor, who I've now had for 22 years, and said, these are the symptoms I have. Something's wrong. And he said, well, Todd, you're getting a little bit older, and things happen. Things do slow down a little bit. Last March 2023, I went in for my annual physical. And I'm expecting nothing ordinary. My doctor knows I don't eat breakfast in the morning. I drink my coffee black, so I'm fasting. And up to that point, he knew that I would not go get my blood tested. So he did my physical, and he says, Todd, I'm sending my tech in to draw your blood. Okay. Next afternoon, about 12:15, I was pulling a trailer up the Altamont Pass, and I see this phone call on my display on my truck. Blackhawk Medical Group. I thought, well, we just got some new insurance. I'm sure the paperwork's messed up, something. Answer the phone. It's my doctor. Hey, Todd, we got your blood work back. We have a problem. What? And he said, your protein level has spiked from last year. And that could be an indication of cancer in your blood and bone marrow. What? Doctor, I'm one of your healthiest patients. He goes, I know. He goes, this really is serious. We need to jump right on this. He referred me to an oncologist. The first day they took 7 vials of blood. I thought, do I have anything left in my system? And I'm talking with Dr. Watson, and she spent about 95% of the time on multiple myeloma, which I'd never heard of. And I said, so you think this is what I have? She goes, I do, but we need to do a bone marrow biopsy in order to figure this out. April 18th, do a bone marrow biopsy. Pathology report, 60 to 80% of my bone marrow was cancer cells. And my doctors were just, are your eyes okay? Are your kidneys okay? How are you functioning when you're stage 3, high risk, super bad multiple myeloma? It was a little bit shocking when I first heard that, especially when my doctors say there's no medical cure. We just try to get you into remission and go, go, go. I was referred to Dr. Thomas Martin at UCSF. What an amazing doctor. All my doctors have been great, but he gave me the latest and greatest approved treatment based on the Griffin study. So Dr. Martin placed me on DRVD, and I despise needles. It was my biggest phobia in the world, and I had to get used to getting jabbed 2-3 times a week. Then they did a PET scan and an MRI. They found an aneurysm in my artery that could have killed me long before the cancer did. We fixed that in June, so I'm grateful for that. We did another bone marrow biopsy August 8th, and I was down to 15%. in my bone marrow, which the pathologist said was significant improvement. By the way, I had the 17th chromosome deletion, which, from my understanding, is the second worst form of multiple myeloma. And I think about 50% of my 17th chromosome cells were damaged. Then I fast forward to go to have the stem cells harvested. Took me 2 days to get 6.2 million cells. I went in the following Monday, November 6th, and I was in for 16 days. They put a tube in my arm, crossed my chest, down into my artery above my heart, pumped me full of methylene. And then 2 days later, they put my stem cells back in my body. That's about a 45-minute process. It was kind of wild to watch the stem cells flow through your tube into your arm and think, I'm getting reborn. I was in for 16 days. This should be my lowest point, where I have the least amount of energy, the least amount of resistance, and yet I feel good. I really do. So thank you. I've been walking laps in the hallway. Well, I had to be quarantined for the first month because you have no immunity whatsoever. That was December of last year, germ season, and very limited in visitors. I immediately started eating food. My appetite was a little bit low at start. I didn't eat a lot because I wasn't doing much. But since then, I feel 1,000 times better than I did last year. And I pretty much can do anything I want. I'm wake surfing. I split wood. I have a little tractor I do things with. I do DIY projects. Today I'm going to build a little building for a hot water heater at a project I'm involved in Oakland. I have no limitations whatsoever. It was kind of interesting because my nurses and doctors kept saying, you're going to have all these nasty side effects. And I never lost all my hair, never lost my eyebrows. Got lucky to not have to shave for about a week. That was cool. And I never got sick, never spent time in the bathroom, which totally amazed my doctors because apparently everybody has those issues. Then we do another bone marrow biopsy. I'm down to 0.12 myeloma cells in my system, which is a complete miracle. So I do thank God for that one and for everybody praying for me. We've continued to do the DRVD treatment this year. We've cut death on part of it, and I'm down to just a couple shots a month. I'm getting ready to go in to see Dr. Martin again, and we'll see what the treatment is there. But from all intents and purposes, the treatment and the stem cell has worked. It's been a miracle. My blood levels continue to improve even a year later now, and everything is even better than it was last year, earlier this year. I wake up each day filled with gratitude, and my energy's back. I'm back to sleeping. For instance, I slept 4 hours last night, and this just worked for my system, and I just go, go, go. I see my doctor or an RN, my oncologist doctor or an RN, twice a month. And then I see Dr. Martin at UCSF quarterly. I'll be seeing him again in January. We'll review the results and see where we go with treatment. But I think I've got at least one more year of limited maintenance, pills and a few injections just to keep this repressed. And then going forward, I'll just be monitored probably quarterly or twice a year to make sure my results are all good. At first couple of months when I was diagnosed, I was pretty sick. And with doing all the processes and procedures I was doing, I was wore out and tired. And I had never heard of multiple myeloma. And I just consumed my mind with information. The UCSF website, the International Myeloma Foundation website, the MMRF, and just consumed information from reliable sources about what the process is, what the diagnosis is, what does stage 3 mean, or MUGS, or smoldering. what do these things all mean? And what are these drugs? And what are the results long term? And I just consumed myself. And it was kind of funny because my last biopsy in September, the RN that did the process, we were talking and she said, "Do you mind me asking where you learned all this information?" And I said, "Well, I learned it from these following sources. And then I have these two amazing doctors. And I literally keep notes in my phone of questions that if I don't understand or I don't know the answer, I ask them. And they're gracious enough to help me understand and answer my questions. And they make sure all my questions get answered before our appointment's over. So I'm really grateful for them. I believe they really want the best for me and they do care and they have taken excellent care of me. Hey, there's patients that have gone before us that went through the battle, like Jack Aiello was the founder and head of the San Francisco Multiple Myeloma Support Group. He was diagnosed 27 years ago with MM, and they gave him 3 years to live. And he made it 27 years. And he did what I did. And it was much tougher back then to find information and figure this stuff out. And he's done so much for people, but he paid it forward for patients like me and people like you that are just being diagnosed, going through this journey. So I've done a YouTube channel and I documented my journey along the way of various processes and procedures. And my intention is to help others. I don't make a dime off of it. Not looking for that, but it's to help other people know that that everything is changing now rapidly to where I believe they will have a cure for multiple myeloma. And it's not a death sentence. I know that you have to stay positive though, because if I laid in bed every day and cried about this, I'd be dead. But I still have a purpose to be here, and my intention is to help others. Be positive. Oh, be positive. Don't look at this as something horrific because there's other cancers that are much worse. There's excellent treatment for this. And I would ask questions of your doctors. And if you don't like the doctor you're with, then get a second opinion. But you need to have somebody that you think is for you and that you trust and that you like, and fight the good fight. I had never heard of multiple myeloma, and a lot of people haven't. But when it affects your loved one or yourself, your friends, it needs to have a voice. It needs to be looked at. It needs to be researched. And I do believe they'll find a cure, and this will also have an impact on leukemia and Hodgkin's disease and some other cancers as well. I love that they're doing the CAR T cell now to where that looks very promising in solving a lot of problems where you're using your own body to become a weapon against this invading enemy. And that wouldn't have happened without people standing up for this, supporting, giving money to these research companies and schools and doctors. The more we know, the more we understand, the more this is researched, the more people share their story, because I tell all my traits and whatever I think of to my doctors in case that could be some part of the puzzle. Because there is a part of the puzzle that they're missing right now. And it might be you listening to this by what you tell your doctor, and together we can all win.